"You're too sensitive. After all I've done for you." If these phrases trigger a knot in your stomach, you know what it's like to be gaslit by a narcissistic mother. Beneath the surface of these words lies a lifetime of emotional control. Today, we'll unpack why these statements hurt so deeply and how they keep daughters trapped in cycles of self-doubt. A narcissistic mother often sees her daughter as an accessory, not an individual. Instead of being allowed to discover who you are, you were likely assigned a role designed to meet your mother's needs. Maybe you were cast as the perfect child, always striving to achieve and maintain an image of flawlessness. In this role, your value was measured by how well you performed and how few mistakes you made. Every small slip felt like a threat to your place in your mother's heart, and you learned to hide your flaws and people please, always hoping for a rare moment of approval. Or perhaps you were made the scapegoat, the one often blamed for everything that went wrong. In this role, you absorbed criticism and carried shame that didn't belong to you. Even when you tried your best, you may have felt you could never do anything right. The frequent blame shaped your sense of self, leaving you feeling unworthy and isolated. Your own emotions took a back seat. You became hyper-aware of your mother's needs, always on alert, and learned to ignore your own feelings and desires just to keep the peace. These roles aren't accidents. They are ways your mother controlled the family narrative, keeping you focused on her approval and needs instead of your own growth. Studies show daughters of narcissistic mothers often wrestle with persistent self-doubt and anxiety because they learned early that love had strings attached. The pressure to perform, the fear of criticism, and the habit of neglecting your own needs don't just disappear when you grow up. They follow you into adulthood, shaping how you see yourself and how you relate to others. You might find it hard to trust your own judgment, second-guess your decisions, or struggle to recognize genuine care in other relationships. Recognizing these roles is the first step toward breaking free. It's not easy to see yourself outside the role you were given, especially when it's all you've ever known. But these roles were never about your true self. They were about control, and these roles distort reality and set the stage for gaslighting. Once you start to see the pattern, you may notice just how often you've questioned your own memories or feelings. Gaslighting is one of the most powerful tools a narcissistic mother uses to keep control. It's more than just lying, it's a way of rewriting the past to suit her narrative, making you question your own reality. She might insist, "That never happened," or accuse you of being too sensitive, even when your memories are clear and your feelings are real. When you try to talk about how her words or actions hurt you, she may deny ever saying those things or twist your words until you start to wonder if you're the problem. These tactics aren't about winning an argument, they're about making you doubt your own mind. Over time, this constant denial and rewriting of your experiences erodes your self-trust. You might start to second-guess your feelings, memories, and even your sanity. This kind of manipulation can lead to anxiety and depression, leaving you feeling inadequate and unsure of yourself. You may find yourself searching for validation, often from the very person who is distorting your reality, your mother. This cycle keeps you emotionally dependent, always looking for reassurance that you're not imagining things. The effects of gaslighting don't stop there. The criticism and invalidation you receive become a voice inside your head, a harsh inner critic that echoes your mother's words. You might catch yourself thinking, "I'm not enough," or apologizing for your feelings, even when you've done nothing wrong. This pattern can follow you into adulthood, affecting how you see yourself and how you relate to others. You learn to put your own needs last, believing your feelings are a burden or that you're always at fault. Gaslighting also creates deep isolation. When your own mother tells you your experiences aren't real, it's hard to believe anyone else will understand. You might stay silent, afraid to share your story, or worry that others will side with her. After all, society often tells us, "She's your mother, she must love you." This isolation makes it even harder to break free, as you try to hold on to your truth in a world that keeps pushing you to doubt it. If your parents are divorced, you might have a healthy and loving relationship with your father. That love you feel for him is often downplayed, dismissed, or undermined through gaslighting, with attempts to paint your father as the one who is actually hurting you. Recognizing gaslighting is a crucial step toward healing. Validating your own experiences by writing down your memories or talking to someone who understands is a form of gentle reparenting. It's how you begin to rebuild trust in yourself and separate your reality from her narrative. This process is slow, and your self-trust can feel fragile, especially when people around you keeps telling you to respect your mother no matter what. That pressure to stay quiet, to keep pretending everything is fine, can make healing even harder. To the outside world, she's the picture of the perfect mother. Warm, accomplished, devoted. She shines at school functions, social events, even online. Her image is carefully curated. And you're part of that performance. Behind closed doors, the truth is very different, but saying it out loud feels dangerous. When you try to speak up about the emotional pain, you're often met with disbelief. People say things like, "But she loves you," or "She always talks about how proud she is of you." These responses aren't just dismissive. They reinforce the idea that a mother's image matters more than her daughter's reality. It's not just strangers. Family may say, "That's just how she is." Friends may struggle to understand. The unspoken rule is clear. Don't ruin her image. You're expected to protect her reputation, even if it means swallowing your pain. Speaking the truth becomes an act of betrayal. And when you finally do try, guilt often floods in. You start to question yourself. Am I being too sensitive? Am I a bad daughter for saying this out loud? So you stay quiet. And in that silence, your truth doesn't disappear. It festers. It turns into anxiety, resentment, or shame. You begin to gaslight yourself, minimizing what happened, convincing yourself maybe it wasn't so bad after all. But here's the truth. Protecting her image should never come at the cost of your healing. You're not here to be a character in her story. You're here to tell your own. The silence can be isolating. When others dismiss your experience or side with your mother, it's easy to feel alone. You might hesitate to reach out for support, worried about being judged or misunderstood. This isolation makes it harder to trust yourself, and it can deepen the wounds you're trying to heal. This kind of invalidation makes recovery more difficult and can keep you trapped in cycles of self-blame. Still, you are allowed to name your experience, even if others don't want to hear it. Speaking up is not disloyal, it's an act of courage. Each time you share your truth, you reclaim a little more of yourself from the years spent trying to keep the peace. This honesty isn't easy, and it often brings its own kind of grief. When you stop pretending, you begin to see the losses you've carried all along, the mother you needed but never had, the motherhood you deserved. Facing that loss is painful, but it's also the first step toward real healing. One of the most difficult truths to face is that she may never change. You might have spent years hoping for a moment when she would see you for who you are, apologize, or show pride in who you hope to become. Letting go of that hope feels like another loss, even if she was never truly present in the ways you needed. You're not only grieving her absence, you're also mourning the small moments, the birthdays where she turned the spotlight on herself, the graduations where your achievements were overshadowed, and all the times you needed comfort but received only criticism. These are not minor hurts, they're wounds that shaped your sense of self. Grief can show up in unexpected ways. Sometimes it's anger when you see friends with caring mothers, or guilt when you set boundaries and worry you're abandoning her. There might be a deep ache for the motherhood you deserved, or frustration at the person you became just to survive. Whether that's the people pleaser, the overachiever, or the one who learned to hide her needs. Research highlights how acknowledging and feeling this grief, instead of pushing it away, is what truly helps ease long-term trauma. It's okay to cry for the girl who had to be strong too soon. Each time you allow yourself to grieve, you make space for self-compassion and begin to reclaim your sense of worth. This grief isn't a sign that you're stuck. It's a sign you're finally being honest about your story. As you move through it, you start to see what you need now in order to feel safe and valued. This grief opens the door to a crucial next step, protecting yourself through healthy boundaries. Guilt around setting boundaries didn't come out of nowhere. It was carefully taught. Growing up, you learned that saying no made you selfish or ungrateful, and that having your own needs was somehow wrong. This wasn't a coincidence. Your mother needed you to feel bad for protecting yourself, so she could keep emotional control over you. That's why every time you try to set a boundary, it feels like you're breaking a rule you never agreed to in the first place. Start with small, clear limits. For example, you might say, "I won't discuss my father with you anymore," or "I need to end this call if you start yelling." These aren't acts of cruelty, they're acts of self-respect. The most important thing is to be consistent. Narcissistic mothers often test boundaries, looking for ways to regain control. When she calls you too emotional or tries to guilt you, it's not a sign you're doing something wrong. It's proof the boundary is working. This pushback is a common trait in narcissistic relationships, and it's about her trying to reassert her power, not about your worth or your choices. Instead of always anticipating her moods or trying to keep the peace, you start to feel grounded. Each time you hold a boundary, you're saying, "I'm not here to play a role in your story." This is how you begin to reclaim the parts of yourself that were lost to people-pleasing, by deciding what you will and won't accept. Expect resistance. She may cry, accuse you of being hurtful, or ask others to pressure you. Remember, you don't have to over-explain or defend your choices. A simple, "This is what I need," is enough. If she continues to cross your boundaries, you may need to limit contact. This isn't punishment, it's protection. You're not responsible for her happiness, and you don't owe her unlimited access to your life. Over time, holding boundaries helps you rebuild self-trust and self-respect. You start to see that your needs matter and that you're allowed to protect your own peace. This isn't just about changing how you relate to your mother, it's about changing how you relate to yourself and to the healthy people around you whom she once downplayed. These might be the very people you actually need in order to heal with real support. By choosing self-protection, you begin to create a new legacy, one where you're valued for who you are. And as you keep showing up for yourself, you give that younger part of you the safety and care she always needed. Healing isn't about changing your mother or earning her approval, it's about returning to yourself. You get to choose what love looks like from here. Maybe that means writing down one truth you've held inside, or spending time on something or someone that brings you quiet joy. Each small act is a step towards self-acceptance. Remember, you were never too much, never not enough. If any of this resonated, comment, "I am enough," to remind yourself and others in this community. From confusion to courage, you've begun reclaiming yourself. Keep choosing you. Your healing matters, and your story deserves to be heard. So if you found comfort or clarity here, please consider liking this video and subscribe for more content that supports your growth, your voice, and your truth. You are not what they said you were. You are who you're becoming, and that's powerful.